Welcome to Luminol on the Wall. I'm Bevy.
And I'm Becky.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Hey, Beck.
Hey, Bev. All right, Bev, today I have a crazy case, and it is all about a false confession and trying to reverse a wrongful conviction.
Oh, God.
On top of it, the young man is a teenager.
Ooh, this is a recipe for my anger to be initiated.
Yeah, and it should be. And the kind of sad thing is, in the media, this case got a ton of attention, but not because of the victim. I mean, although this young man is a victim himself due to the legal system, but not the actual murdered victim. So it's sad for a lot of reasons.
So it became a media frenzy not because of the murder victim or because of the teenager that was wrongfully accused, but for other reasons?
No, for the wrongful conviction.
Oh, so like the victim was just kind of like
almost
forgotten in a sense, in the media at least.
Exactly. So it was kind of sad to hear. So when you're listening to this case, you, Bev, and everyone else, just remember the victim because he lost his life.
Right.
That's
okay.
tragic.
No, I'll definitely keep the victim in my mind and my heart.
Absolutely.
Throughout the story.
But before we get into the case, we're going to take a couple minutes.
Just have a sister chat.
Yeah.
Because I do have a funny story.
You do have a great story.
My husband plays in fantasy leagues.
Yes, he does.
For football. And he's in a pretty serious league. Like, they've been doing it for years. You know, the buy-in's a decent amount. What have you. And, like, he got his ass handed to him this year. Like, it was brutal. Like, it was so tough to watch. And many of Sundays were ruined as a result. It was tough. Anyways, his friend, who's like the, I guess, manager of the league, he, unbeknownst to Craig, put Craig's name in a draw for like the Miller Lite billboard for like the biggest fantasy league loser or whatever. And people all across Alberta get chosen as like the biggest loser of their fantasy leagues, right? And lo and behold, Craig gets chosen.
Oh,
so
no.
he submits some pictures, and Miller Lite put him on a billboard, guys. So if you are in Calgary and you want to witness this billboard, it is in Beacon Hill. Yeah, the billboard that's like the entrance into the parking lot where Costco is. Like,
you can't miss it.
You can't miss it.
Yeah, it literally explains that he's a loser.
Exactly. So it's pretty epic.
It's so funny. So we have this giant family chat, and Craig almost never chats in there, like randomly he'll
Literally
say something.
Never.
And so then we all get this message, and it's him on this billboard. And I saw it, I was like,
wait, what?
I thought Craig was just like, I don't know, being like saucy or something. Like
he somehow like photo edited this.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Craig. And then I was like, wait a minute, that looks like a real sky behind that billboard. And then I was like, I didn't know where that photo was taken. I was like, oh my God, this is real. And I actually called Bev. I was like, is this real? She confirmed. Yeah. And then I laughed hysterically.
It's so good. It was like too good not for him to do, you know?
Oh, God.
And then Miller Lite sends you a package worth like $500 or something.
For being the biggest fantasy loser?
I don't know. It's like probably like a promo package or something. I don't even know. It's just kind of cool. So,
like, anyways. Sorry for your loss. Here's our condolences.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a great billboard.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I feel like that's what it is. So, I don't know. It's just a fun little thing, but
it's hilarious. So,
yeah.
If anyone sees this man, this is Bev's husband and my brother-in-law, and it is awesome.
It is awesome. And
yes.
He chose like the stupidest photo to go on there.
He looks so happy. It's unreal.
Yeah, he's giving like the biggest thumbs up. He's like, yeah, I'm a loser. Woo-hoo!
It's like the dorkiest photo for
Also, total side note.
Oh, okay.
Craig's like, you should post my billboard in our family chat. I'm like, bitch, you post the billboard.
Oh, you told him to?
Yeah, I was like, you never message in the group chat. Like, surely you can send the picture you took.
Yeah, say something, Craig. Do it yourself.
So it's just side note. You're like, he never messages. I'm like, yeah, I had to force him with this one.
Oh, Craigie.
So anyways,
hilarious.
Funny little story.
Yeah, go check him out.
Go check him out.
All right, Bev, we're going to get into the case. Like I said, it's all about wrongful convictions, false confessions. Now, while I was doing my research, I actually was reading a ton of stats about wrongful convictions and false confessions, and I was pretty shocked with the stats out there. So I'm going to enlighten everyone with what I read, with some of what I found like really crazy stats.
Yeah.
So bear with me. I'm going to read them out. And knowledge is power, I guess. So according to the 2019 annual report by the National Registry of Exonerations, wrongful convictions statistics show that the percentage of wrongful convictions is somewhere between 2% and 10%. Keeping in mind that there are over 2.3 million incarcerated individuals in the United States. We can see that the number of innocent people behind bars is anywhere from 46,000 to 230,000.
Which is obviously tons, but then you also have to take into consideration that so many people that are in prison have not been deemed to be wrongfully convicted as of yet, even though probably even more could have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why it's such a big range, because you just don't know.
Right.
Next point. 2,666 people have been exonerated in the U.S. since 1989, which when you see the 46,000 to 230,000 is not that many. Yeah. Out of 100 sentenced to death, 4 are likely innocent, but only 2 get exonerated. 63% of false confessors were under the age of 25, and 32% were under the age of 18. Yet, of all persons arrested for murder and rape, only 8 and 16% respectively are juveniles.
So obviously, the people that are younger could potentially be intimidated by police officers, easily manipulated by them, like don't see through the police tactics and kind of fall for them, right? We've seen that a lot, even in false confessions, period. But for juveniles, I'm sure, like, you're so innocent, you're so naive at that point, right?
Yeah. A lot of people will say anything to kind of get out of that situation, right? Not understanding that you can't just, well, you can take it back, but it often has really
dire consequences.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of like police kind of intimidation, another person responsible are their co-defendants, so accomplices. Now, false confessions make for the leading cause of wrongful convictions in homicide cases. In 75% of false confession cases, the real perpetrator is found later. In the year 2020, DNA exoneration statistics reveal that 83 individuals, making up for 61% of the 137 DNA wrongful conviction murder cases, had to do with false confessions. Furthermore, around 22% had exculpatory evidence that was not taken into account or presented to the court or the defense.
Okay, so to be fair, that's a huge dump of information, and it only kind of makes sense probably to the average listener, because for example, exculpatory evidence, give the listeners a little bit more information on what that is.
Hello, my name is Kristen Rigadel, and I'm a licensed insurance broker across Canada and in the United States. But I want to ask you a question. Is life super predictable? No, there's always going to be curveballs in life, but there's 2 things that I can guarantee you. 1, we're all going to have to pay taxes, and 2, we're all going to die. I know, it's morbid, right? But it's true. And that's where life insurance comes in. Life insurance is a selfless act. At the end of the day, it's meant for your loved ones in the event you were to pass away unexpectedly. And not that money can ever replace us, but I always liked the idea of leaving some money behind for my brothers, whether that be for their college education, or a down payment on a house, or even just time off of work to grieve. Because the last thing I would want for my family is to have to go to work and pay the bills while they're grieving. And so life insurance gives you the peace of mind that no matter when you pass away, your loved ones are taken care of. With flexible plans, affordable premiums, and coverage that fits your unique needs, I do the shopping around for you so that you can get the protection without the hassle. Because taking care of your future doesn't have to be complicated. If you'd like to discuss options, you can send me an email at kriggedel15lrxc@wfgmail.ca or give me a phone call at 403-785-7670 to learn more and get a free quote today, so you can live tomorrow with peace of mind.
Basically, that's evidence that would prove their innocence, that it was someone else.
And it's left out of the trial or
not given to the defense.
Right.
Yes.
So it obviously puts a huge bias on the trial and the investigation, which is so fucked up. Obviously, people bring that evidence later on, and that's probably what contributes to
their exoneration.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the worst part is, though, is that these people with false confessions, there was already that exculpatory evidence available at the time. However, it was not taken into account or presented to the court or defense. So that means they had it kind of sitting in their back pocket, but it was overlooked because of the confession.
Right, exactly, which is such a shame.
It's just poor, I don't want to say policing, investigating, lawyering, whatever you want to say. It's just poor work.
I think the issue a lot of times when it comes to the justice system is that they want to push through cases and they want guilty verdicts. So they kind of ignore evidence that could muddy the waters a little bit to get that guilty verdict at all costs.
For
right?
sure.
Because it costs money. People want justice to be served, and you think someone confessed, like, who gives a shit about this other stuff, right?
Yeah, you kind of act like, oh, we got the case in the bag that way.
Yeah, but we all know how faulty wrongful convictions are in general, especially when they are done by poor investigative tactics or like very manipulative investigative tactics. Like, it can bring out confessions that are not reliable.
Absolutely. And honestly, those are the cases that make me so mad when they have evidence that would prove someone is innocent, but they're like, you know what? This is just easier to go with their false confession. We know it's false because the evidence proves otherwise. Those ones piss me the hell off.
And I see your next point here. It's like official misconduct plays a part in 31% of murder exonerations.
Exactly, meaning that people are exonerated because there was misconduct.
In 31% of these confessions.
And that misconduct also could play into the last stat where it's like there was evidence, but it wasn't brought forward.
Exactly.
So they kind of go hand in hand and overlap.
Or the investigative tactics where there's like a high degree of manipulation involved, right?
Exactly. And next point, false accusations are present in 70% of wrongful convictions. So that means, like, someone accused that person wrongfully.
Like, in terms of an eyewitness, in terms of what?
Yeah, like seeing something and getting the person wrong. Some people just straight up lie.
Yeah.
Some other people are intimidated to tell a lie by police. We've had cases like that before. So there's many factors, but it's present in 70% of wrongful convictions, which I, like, hearing all those numbers, so outrageous. And although I love the law and I always want justice, there's still obviously room for error and there's major flaws in these scenarios. And I really wish there was a way to abolish.
I'm interested where you're going with this, because abolish one is a huge word, and I'm kind of like, confessions, you can't abolish confessions. You just can't. You can't abolish accusations because they do help in the investigative process.
No, not abolish that stuff. I wish they could abolish just, like, well, the question is, what am I trying to say here?
Yeah, I think, you know what, if I were to, like, put myself in your shoes right now, I feel like what you're trying to say is, like, if there's evidence that completely contradicts a confession or an accusation, you should be able to just, like, immediately be like, no, we're throwing this away. Almost.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, we don't have to go through leaps and bounds to get this overturned in the justice system, which could take years and years, right? Like, you're like, I wish it would be an easier process to actually get wrongful convictions overturned or something.
When there's, like, clear evidence. Yeah. I was saying that, and then I also wish that there was a way to completely remove like police misconduct, poor investigative strategies, like withheld information. I wish there was a way to completely take that out of the law.
Yeah, just because make us all robots.
You know, I guess in a perfect world, that is what I want. Yes. But because it just makes me so mad that people are convicted when there's evidence supporting them not being convicted. Like, that shit pisses me the fuck off, honestly.
Yeah, because you want, like, in the justice system, you do want people to be innocent until proven guilty. And while I know a confession and an accusation are strong indicators of guilt in a lot of instances,
yeah,
like,
this happens regularly.
Yeah, it's so faulty that you're like, there needs to be more than that to get a guilty verdict, right?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of honest investigators and police, and they do a wonderful job, but then there are a handful of people that don't, and hearing the
they
stats
don't have the right motives or motivations behind.
Yeah, and like hearing how many people are actually sitting in prison, although it's a huge range. Imagine even on the low end, that's a huge number that are innocent sitting in prison, some on death row, like major consequences there, and their life is spent in prison, and
they did nothing wrong.
They did nothing wrong, and you know, you think about how are the lawmakers in any of this circumstance, what standard are they now held to? What consequences are they having? A lot of times there are no consequences. Sometimes there are, sometimes
we did our best, we tried, and we got it wrong. Like, I mean, that's about it, right?
Yeah, like, oops, human error. And you're like, fuck human error. You're an idiot. And you were negligent in the evidence and bringing it forward and stuff like that, or just taking it at face value, you know? That stuff
definitely
makes me mad.
Like, we can get our emotions involved in this because it is like, it's very infuriating. But the truth is that we have seen that there have been things done to improve a lot of the processes, like especially in confessions. Like, there's certain investigative techniques that are outlawed, not able to be used because of how inaccurate the confessions that these investigators got due to the tactics that they used, right?
Yeah, like the super big controversial Mr. Big operations.
Yes. Those ones.
Yeah. All right. Now, we could go on for hours about this, and I know we talked a lot about the stats, but let's actually get into the case.
Right.
And see how this actually applies.
Just let us get even more infuriated. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's go.
So, like I said, this case is a profound example of the complexities and pitfalls of the criminal justice system, particularly regarding juvenile defendants and the reliability of their confessions obtained under duress. So, in 2003, in Starkville, Mississippi, a city with just over 20,000 residents, became the backdrop of this chilling murder case. Tyler Edmonds was 13 years old when he found himself implicated in the murder of his brother-in-law, Joey Fulgham. Now, Tyler and his half-sister, Kristi Fulgham, shared a complex bond. Kristi was 12 years older, and they shared the same father, Danny Edmonds. Tyler's parents split when he was a baby, and for much of his early life, he had no connection to his father or his father's side of the family. That changed when Kristi re-entered his life when he was about 10 or 11. Tyler at one point was quoted saying, "My half-sister kinda just showed up. Both of us came from kind of a broken home, and having that in common, I suppose we bonded." Now, on May 10th, the day before Mother's Day, Tyler and Kristi had plans to go to the beach. Tyler often spent weekends with his older sister and her children. As Tyler sat in the car outside the Fulgham home waiting for Kristi to finish packing, he was playing with the radio. He then heard what was later described as a pop, but didn't think much of it. Kristi soon came out, and they proceeded to the beach, spending what Tyler described as a fabulous day. After a fun weekend at the beach, Kristi and Tyler were on their way home, and Kristi's phone began ringing repeatedly. After she finally answered, a horrified look spread across her face as she told Tyler they found Joey dead in bed. Now, Joey Fulgham was Kristi's husband, and he was born September 10th, 1974. He had been a talented and caring man throughout his life. He had graduated from Starkville High School and then joined the Army National Guard. He was super passionate about automobiles, and he worked as a mechanic at Templeton since 1998. His family described him as a kind and generous person. However, Joey and Kristi had a turbulent relationship, which became really publicly known after their appearance on the Montel Williams show.
Oh my god, the Montel Williams show.
When was the last time you heard that name, right?
Literally forever ago. I mean, Jerry Springer, the documentary just came out, and I watched that because I watched the Jerry Springer show.
Oh, yeah.
For a little while there, but I also watched the Montel Williams show.
And Maury to top it, right?
Right? Oh my gosh. Okay, so they were on a freaking show.
Yeah.
Because of their troubled relationship.
Exactly. And during that episode, Kristi revealed that Joey's youngest daughter was not biologically his.
Oh, snap.
Yes.
That's a bombshell to drop on somebody, bro, on TV.
Oh my god.
That's devastating.
I'd be pissed if someone, I mean, I would be having the kids, so I would be having the affair, I guess. But if I was a man and someone took me on TV to tell me that,
oh god,
I would be even more pissed that I was on live TV.
I don't know. I'd be pissed that my child was not mine.
Well,
I'd be like,
no, I mean on top of that, Bev. Obviously, I'm pissed about the child.
Like, I'm just so mad that like on live television,
I would be mortified that they took me on live TV just to tell me that. Be like, you want to air our dirty fucking laundry?
Yeah, and on top of it, it's like a very sad thing for him to learn. It's like, come on,
that's
now
just
what am I gonna do? Like, cry hysterically on national television, and also like try and like, I don't know, like monitor how I'm reacting towards you in this moment because
we're on live TV.
Yeah, like, damn, that's just like, she did him dirty.
She did him dirty, Bev. And this affair, on top of it, Bev, was actually with Joey's best friend, Kyle Harvey.
Oh my gosh.
To boot. Now, despite this betrayal, Joey accepted and cared for this child as his own. You know, they had already built a bond, a relationship. Like, what are you going to do? Just be like, you're dead to me now? No.
No, of course not.
What human really would do that? Now, later on in this whole investigation, phone records later revealed that at the time of Joey's murder, Kyle was Kristi's boyfriend. So she was still married and still carrying on a full-blown relationship with this guy.
And then we have Joey taking care of Kyle's child, even though he's also continuously getting cheated on or like, you know, with Kyle himself. Like what, like why can't Kyle step in? I wonder if he did. Or felt any obligation to.
I have no idea.
Or maybe he's just a POS.
I mean,
who knows? Either way, that's just, I'm wondering, but it's pretty irrelevant to the overall story in and of itself. But holy crap, what a triangle.
Live triangle.
To get twirled up in, Beck.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go back to the day of the murder, or at least when Joey was found. So once Kristi and Tyler arrived home, Kristi was almost immediately arrested for the murder of Joey. And during her interrogation, she claimed that Tyler, who keep in mind is 13 years old, had planned and carried out this attack. And he was motivated by anger towards Joey. Now, don't ask me why he was angry.
That was just what she said.
That's just what she said. So 2 days after hearing this, 2 days later, investigators bring Tyler in. What's interesting, Bev, is on May 12th, your birthday.
Nice.
Yes. So he was brought down to the sheriff's office by his mother, Sharon. Now, Sharon brought him in willingly because she believed officers just wanted to ask him a few questions about that morning and, you know, what went down, what Tyler saw, if he had any information to give them, right? She had no clue that officers believed that Tyler was involved in Joey's death. When they got there, investigators deliberately distracted Sharon and placed Tyler in an interrogation room alone without any representation.
Even like his own mother is not there to like protect him. He's 13. He is so young.
Yeah, he is like barely a teenager.
I'm pretty shocked that after hearing what Kristi said, they weren't suspicious of her and instead were suspicious of Tyler. I'm pretty shocked by that even right now.
Yeah, wouldn't you like question her and like kind of second guess her a little bit? Be like, really?
Like your husband? Wouldn't you get more information? Like they probably don't know this at the time, but if they looked into her relationship with Joey, they would see that it's pretty like volatile and she's having an affair on him. Like,
what would make Tyler so angry to do this, right? Like,
yeah, what would make Tyler angry? It seems more like what would make Kristi potentially more angry, or she would seem to at least have more motivation to want Joey out of the picture than Tyler would, right?
Oh, 100% Bev.
So it's just weird that they're immediately kind of like honing in on him.
Like, yeah. So For hours, Tyler denied any involvement. And in fact, he had told them about waiting in the car for his sister when he heard that pop. Now, at this point, the detectives, they're getting like really frustrated with Tyler.
He's not giving them what they want.
Yeah, or saying anything that matched what Kristi said. So officers then decide that they were going to tell Tyler what Kristi had claimed, that he had pulled the trigger. Tyler shocked and responded, no, 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 no. When one detective got in his face and asked, are you calling me a liar, boy? And Tyler was kind of like put off and was like, I'm not calling you a liar, but I don't think my sister would say that. You know, he's like absolutely shocked. Like, why would she tell this lie?
Yeah, he's thinking like we have a good relationship. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way she would say that about me because it's not true.
Exactly.
Right.
So when Tyler didn't like give them anything even after that, they decide to actually bring Kristi into the room in shackles and handcuffs, wearing her orange jumpsuit. You know, kind of scare him into telling them the, I'm doing air quotes, truth.
Yeah.
Now, Kristi was sobbing and pleading with Tyler, saying, oh my God, Tyler, they're going to kill me. I'm going to get the electric chair. You have to help me. And in later interviews, Tyler said this really scared him. You know, he loved his sister. He didn't want her, well, to get the electric chair, right?
Of course.
And Kristi and the officers both had told Tyler that as a juvenile, he would face a lenient sentence so that he should, like, help her out. So after Kristi had left the room, Tyler told investigators he was ready to talk, and then decided to tell the detectives his confession. Now, what is a little controversial at this point is when they bring Kristi into the room and all their previous conversations when Tyler is denying his involvement, there are no cameras on. There's no recording of this, but once Kristi leaves,
and he's ready to, as we said, quote unquote, confess,
they turn the cameras and recording devices on. And so what Tyler claimed at that point was on Friday, May 9th, 2003, his sister picked him up from his home and then took him back to her and Joey's house in Longview community, as she did every other weekend. He told investigators that they all went out for Subway sandwiches for dinner, and when they got home, Joey went right to bed while Kristi stayed up and used the computer. Tyler said he fell asleep on the floor next to Kristi, and in the middle of the night, she had woken him up to put him in bed alongside her children. He said between 3:30 and 4 o'clock, the alarm went off, waking him up. He then said he went into the bedroom where Joey slept, and with Kristi's help, they both shot Joey in the back of the head with a .22 caliber rifle that Tyler had brought with him at Kristi's request. He then states that Kristi and himself loaded the children into the car as well as the computer and Kristi's jewelry so that it would look like a robbery. Tyler also mentioned that he thought Kristi took Joey's wallet. Then they all traveled to Jackson, and the group went to Jackson to pick up Kristi's boyfriend, Kyle Harvey. And then they went to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. They stayed at the Beau Rivage and played on the beach. Then fast forward a day, on Sunday, May 11th, Tyler called his mom and wished her a happy Mother's Day as they were on their way back home.
From the beach and having this fabulous day, right?
Yes. And while they were driving home, it's then that Kristi received all those phone calls to inform her that Joey had been murdered.
So that's his story.
That's his story. Yes. Now, not long after giving his confession, Tyler's mom, Sharon, found the interrogation room and demanded entry. Now, Sharon was pissed right off that they would question her son without her being present, and in fact, distracted her so that they could speak with him without her even aware.
Yeah.
Now, on camera, when she was alone with Tyler, she asked what had happened, and he tearfully responded, I told them the truth. Sharon asked Tyler, okay, what is the truth? And Tyler said that me and Kristi did it. So,
did he say this because he was a broken down 13-year-old that has been basically convinced that he helped murder Joey?
I don't think he was convinced, but he for sure just didn't want his sister to get the electric chair, right? Like, he was so worried for her well-being and felt that, you know, with the promise that he would get a light sentence, that he could do this for her.
So that's why he's even telling his mom this.
Exactly, right? So they take this confession verbatim and they're going to charge him with murder. So in 2004, Tyler was tried as an adult.
As an adult? Shut the fuck up. Because they told him he would be tried as a juvenile and that he would get a lenient sentence and that it would be helping his sister. And now they go and turn around and convict him as an adult when he's freaking 13?
I know. Bullshit, right?
Total bullshit. This is in 2004, too. You would think that a trial occurring in the early 2000s would be a little bit more progressive in how they treat juveniles. Because I feel like trying him as an adult is just kind of does a disservice for his whole life. Like, he's so young. If you think of the way his brain is developed at this stage in his life, there's like potential for him to turn his life around, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And to get a more lenient sentence if they're going to go in the route of actually convicting him of anything, because I think that's wrong in and of itself. But I just think there would be room for rehabilitation. And I think trying him as an adult kind of screws up his whole life and like removes the chances of rehabilitation, right? He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison if he's found guilty.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And to add to that, it's not like he chose to just do this murder by himself. He had a full-blown adult, aka his sister, to help him commit this crime. And according to Tyler, they both held the gun, right? Like, they were both responsible. So how could you hold a 13-year-old who most likely was a little coerced, a little maybe inspired
or influenced by the adult in the situation?
Inspired. My bad.
But by the adult in the situation, right?
Yeah, how could you not give him a chance for rehabilitation?
Yeah, it seems just twisted.
Yeah. Now, in this trial, the prosecution heavily relied on Tyler's confession, as well as the testimony from forensic pathologist Dr. Stephen Hain, who posited that two people had pulled the trigger simultaneously. So like I said, Tyler was found guilty of capital murder and was sentenced to life and would not be able to even apply for parole until he was 65 years old. Which is like, we've covered so many cases where people do like even more, all murder is bad, but like in more heinous ways and, you know, and they're full-blown adults and they get chance of parole after 25 years.
Yeah, that is like his whole life basically gone.
Right? Like, I feel like they almost went harsher on him for some weird reason.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I know everything about Mississippi in 2004, but like maybe that was their standard. I don't effing know. But it seems weird that he got that sentence.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just naive to Mississippi. I don't know.
No, it's crazy. It's ludicrous.
So, as we know, Tyler was still a juvenile at the time he was sentenced, so he was sent to Walnut Grove Juvenile Correctional Facility for the next 5 years. Tyler would later state he saw and experienced things no child should have to see or deal with.
In a juvenile center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of with the children of the world, like some of the people that, like the worst of the worst almost, right?
Yeah, for juveniles, for sure. And Bev, on top of that, this facility gained infamy for its harsh conditions and allegations of mistreatment. It was so bad that Federal District Judge Carlton Reeves wrote in a 2012 court order that the court found that conditions at Walnut Grove violated the Constitution, not to mention state and federal civil and criminal laws. Guards regularly had sex with their young inmates, and the facility's pattern of brutal rapes among prisoners was the worst of any facility anywhere in the nation. Guards also were deemed excessively violent, beating, kicking, and punching handcuffed and defenseless youths, and frequently subjected them to chemical restraints such as pepper spray, even for insignificant infractions. The guards also sold drugs on site and staged gladiator-style fights. One former resident said it'd be like setting up a fight deal like you would with two dogs. The guards would actually bet on it. It was like a payday for them. Another former resident said that the guards were super willing to facilitate fights between inmates themselves. For example, if an inmate wanted to go fight another inmate, the guards would just open the cell doors and let them go at it.
Wow, that's so corrupt right there.
I know, yeah.
Like, think of, like, just how, like, the abuse of power that these guards have over these children. Like, they're raping them. They're making money off of fighting. Like, that's sick, you know?
Terrible.
It's sick and twisted. Like, are you even treating these people as, like, human beings?
No.
No. Like, oof, grossing me out.
Now, on top of that, Bev, kids who complained or tried to report these incidents faced really harsh retribution, including long stints in solitary. So it's like, we're going to use our power to make you fight, make this place really unsafe for everyone. But if you say anything, you're going to get punished.
Yeah, we're going to keep you quiet.
And, you know, there's lots of studies saying how bad solitary can be, although sometimes necessary for really aggressive inmates. It can be really bad for the psyche.
Yeah, especially with juveniles. Yeah. Like, this is a young person, right? Like, you shouldn't be faced with solitary confinement in a juvenile center, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah. Now, Judge Reeves wrote that the state had turned a blind eye to the abuse. And later on, Tyler described the environment as anything but rehabilitative.
No shit.
Now, at this point, you must be wondering, where's Kristi in all this?
Yeah, what happened to Kristi? Because according to Tyler, they were equally involved in this murder.
Exactly right.
Sorry, according to Tyler's false confession. But yeah, what happened to Kristi, Becky? Like, what the fuck happened to Kristi?
Well, Kristi was charged with capital murder as well. And on December 9th, 2006, a couple years after Tyler, and after only 58 minutes of deliberation, Kristi sat expressionless as the foreperson declared that she was guilty of capital murder. After a very small break, Judge Howard returned and began by saying, "Miss Fulgham." He paused briefly as he looked at her in the eye. He said, "You have been convicted by a jury of your peers for the premeditation and cold-blooded murder of your husband, Joey Fulgham. The evidence presented during this trial leaves no doubt in the minds of this court or this jury about the malicious and calculated nature of your actions." He addressed Kristi Fulgham directly for the first time since the trial began. He said, "It is the sentence of this court that you are to be executed for the crime committed by lethal injection."
Holy hot diggity. I wasn't expecting that. Death row, hey? Yeah. I wasn't expecting that.
So Tyler gets capital murder and life in prison. Kristi gets found guilty of capital murder and the lethal injection.
Maybe it is something about Mississippi.
Maybe, because these seem like pretty harsh. I mean, maybe not Kristi, because I think she's evil.
Right, of course. But I just mean, it's not every day that someone gets put on death row, right?
Yeah.
Like, even for, like, heinous crimes. Like, it's just not every day.
No.
Right? So, I don't know, it's just a little bit shocking to hear it.
Yeah.
So maybe Mississippi has higher standards for, like, I don't know.
Or harsher standards.
Harsher standards. Oh, well. Yeah, but still, harsher standards for crimes committed in their district. So, all right. So, girls on death row.
Yeah, girls on death row. And you know what's funny? Well, it's not funny, but like she tried to be like, "Hey, Tyler, you have to help me. Your testimony and like you admitting to this is going to help me stay off of death row." But it's like, it didn't help you at all.
No, and it didn't help Tyler at all. Like, it didn't help you one bit to stay off of death row. And he got screwed over and wasn't tried as a juvenile. Like, nothing went as planned.
Yeah.
Everything turned out worse.
Yeah, so then when looking back and hearing that Kristi and the police said, "Oh, like, promised him all this stuff," like, they were just saying it to get a confession. That's what I'm feeling like what happened, Bev.
Well, yeah.
It's like they'd say anything just to get a story.
Yeah, because everything they said is the opposite of what actually happened.
Literally a lie.
Yeah.
Straight up lied, which is not right. It's not moral. All right, so let's just forget about Kristi for now. So while Tyler was in Walnut Grove, his mother Sharon was relentless in her unwavering belief in her son's innocence. She liquidated her assets and went into debt to fund his legal battles. And finally, in 2007, Tyler's conviction was reversed. His defense argued that yes, Tyler did confess, but he had recanted this confession days later. He was under duress, and his rights were violated at the time when the statement was coerced. Number 2 is that the forensic pathologist, Dr. Hain, that handled Joey's body was uncertified during the trial, and his expert opinion should not have been allowed in court. As well, Dr. Hain's testimony that initially supported the two-person shooter theory lacked reliable scientific methods or procedural backing.
So they got a lot to go off of here.
Exactly.
Woo!
In the case of Tyler Edmonds, this error had a profound effect on the 13-year-old defendant's substantial rights. After this reversal, the prosecution offered Tyler a plea deal. Plead guilty to manslaughter for immediate release. But Tyler refused, maintaining his innocence.
Oh, God. I'm sorry. Like, critical error. I'm just thinking it right now. Like, critical error. I pray to God that as he's tried again, because he will be, that a jury will find him innocent. But let's be real. That's not always how these things go. Like, you've already spent time in prison.
Yep.
You're still fucking young. And 2007, like, he's still, like, a juvenile, isn't he? Like, almost. He's around 18 or somewhere around there.
Yep.
Like, take it and go. Take it and go.
Okay, Bev, let me ask you this, though. If you were convicted of this crime, if you were in the same situation as Tyler, and you knew you were innocent, would you want that guilty conviction of manslaughter on your record for life, even if you were innocent?
Like, okay, I hear what you're saying. And the quick answer is I don't want it on my record. It's going to fuck up my future prospects. Like,
yes.
It won't be the best for me.
Yep.
But me sitting here having like a pessimistic mind of how the criminal justice system works.
Yeah.
I'm like, take it and fucking run.
I mean, they already screwed him once. Do you want to let it happen again?
Yeah, like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
God forbid you spend literally the rest of your life in prison for being innocent. Like, is a manslaughter verdict really on your record really the worst thing? Or is being behind bars for the rest of your life the worst thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get where he's going.
Yeah.
He really believes in his innocence. And I really do also, by the way.
Yeah.
But, and guys, I'm also coming from this from the perspective of I don't know the outcome of this case. Becky does. So for me right now, I just have all of this, like, I'm like, play it risk adverse, baby. Take it and go. Take it and go because you never know what could happen.
Exactly.
So I guess we'll all find out together what happens.
Yes. We're going to go into that right now.
Because he obviously wants to
take his chances.
Yeah.
So at Tyler's retrial, Kristi was put on the stand where she actually pleaded the fifth to every single question, including if she was related to Tyler. So it almost seems like kind of pointless for her to be on there because you think they're putting her on there to be like, he's guilty, he did this, he helped me kill my husband, blah, blah, blah. But she pleads the fifth. And I don't know if she all of a sudden just had a conscience or what, but that's what she did.
Okay.
Now, in this case, there was also evidence that contradicted parts of his confession, including forensic inconsistencies in his account, as well as differences between Tyler and Kristi's original confessions. In 2008, the jury found Tyler not guilty of murder, and he was acquitted and released.
OMG.
Bev, I think, was gonna like have an aneurysm just waiting for this.
I know. I was literally like, my baby is like rumbling in my tummy. I feel like he can feel like
your stress.
My stress.
Whew.
It added a little bit of intensity. I'm not gonna lie. It was like rumbling, and I was like, "Ooh, what's it gonna be?" But okay, he was acquitted. Holy shit, Becky.
Yeah, he was. And one of the biggest things was that Dr. Haynes wasn't allowed back in there to be like, yeah, that two-person shooter theory is real. Yeah. Which, when you think about it, how can you scientifically actually prove that two people were holding a gun instead of one? It's not going to change the trajectory. It literally, you can't tell.
Here's a wild thought.
Okay.
Maybe the prosecution found somebody that would just like spew bullshit, right? Like maybe it was just like that.
Yeah. They're like, that's great. That fits with
fits with his confession.
Yeah.
Yes, say that. Maybe they paid him off. Ooh. I'm not going to get too crazy and make accusations here, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, how could you prove that?
Exactly. They actually had a forensic pathologist go onto the stand and say, there's no way you can prove that scientifically.
Oh, fantastic. I love that
Yeah,
for
there's
him.
just no way.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah. And since that was a huge contributor to his original guilty verdict, it was like, oh, okay, there was no science. Cool. So, Tyler wasn't the only one to be retried.
Ooh.
So was Kristi. However, we know she's guilty.
Yeah,
she admitted to it.
Come on now.
So it really was she was only retried to change her sentencing. So on her trial, the prosecution still presented a narrative that emphasized the calculated and premeditated nature of her crime, reinforcing their stance that the original death sentence was appropriate. In Kristi's new trial, her father had been put on the stand, where he explained that weeks before the murder, Kristi asked him for a pistol because she wanted to kill her husband. She explained he was mean to her and the kids. She had expressed an intent to kill her husband while he was sleeping and mentioned that she would receive life insurance proceeds upon his death. Now, this testimony was not allowed in the initial trial. In the second trial, the judge stated that these statements fell under the hearsay exception for such declarations and were deemed admissible in the prosecution for the capital murder of Joey.
Okay. So obviously in the first trial it was considered hearsay.
Yeah. But I'm like, she told her dad.
And he experienced that.
Yeah, that's not
hearsay.
He
heard her say that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Dad, hello, your daughter is about to make a major mistake in her life that could put her in prison forever. Like, did you not think to be like, not a good idea, babe? What you doing?
Yeah, don't do that.
No, you can't have my pistol. Did he give her his pistol, Becky?
Bev, I am unsure. And the reason why there's not too much about it is the original gun that was used was never found.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it was her dad's.
Or she found something else. Like maybe he did blow it off and was like, girl, no.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you my pistol. Don't be cray-cray.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it shows her premeditation about the murder.
Exactly. And that is exactly what the state was hoping to prove.
Yes.
The prosecution also had co-workers of Joey's that said he had taken a call from Kristi not long before he was killed, and she was asking about his life insurance and who the beneficiaries were. It was confirmed that she was the beneficiary.
Oh shit, this just adds a little bit more extra meat and potatoes to what the dad said now. Like, This was your plan.
Yeah, like all these little puzzle pieces are fitting together.
Yeah, you wanted your little happy family with Kyle.
Exactly.
So what was the outcome?
So after everything and all was said and done,
yeah,
the jury chose to overturn Kristi Fulgham's death sentence, and she was re-sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, sparing her from execution, but ensured she would, stay in jail for the rest of her life. So, yay. She at least is still in jail.
Yeah, she definitely needs to be.
Yeah, she's mean. So, following Tyler's exoneration, he and his lawyers sought compensation under Mississippi's wrongful conviction statute. However, his initial application was actually denied because the statute excluded individuals who had contributed to their own conviction, referencing Tyler's false confession. But in 2017, the Mississippi Supreme Court reversed that decision, allowing Tyler to pursue compensation. Because he was coerced, he was under duress, he was 13.
And not only that, but he experienced juvenile, prison.
Yep.
And it obviously probably had some type of effect on his psyche. I mean, he said it was horrendous conditions.
Lots of abuse.
He saw things he had never wished to see, right? That affected him in a negative way.
For sure.
So, yeah. I agree with this overturned decision.
Yes. So, because of that, he was awarded $135,000 for those 5 years spent wrongfully incarcerated. Now, after Tyler was released, he went to school to become an EMT. And after graduating, he decided to move to Arizona. Tyler felt that he needed a fresh start. So many people knew who he was in Mississippi, and even though he didn't kill Joey, the title of murderer still followed him, unfortunately. It's like, even though you're proven not to have that involvement.
People are always wondering.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
So then while in Arizona, he began working with the U.S. Department of Defense and became an activist fighting for the rights of children in the legal system. He believed that children should not be allowed to speak with an officer without an attorney present. And he specifically says an attorney because most people, even parents, don't even know how to navigate the legal system in these situations. And they don't know their rights, you know? Tyler is also a speaker at the Mississippi Public Defenders Association. Sadly, Tyler was diagnosed with leg cancer and moved closer home so he could be with his family.
Well, shit, Becky.
I know. But
that was kind of sad, I'm not gonna lie. You were like, he's doing all these good things. He's making such a good life for himself. He is
helping other people.
Using his trauma to help those in similar situations. And then you're like, yeah, but he got leg cancer. I'm like, what a shift. But like, poor Tyler.
Poor Tyler. He's been through a lot at a very young age, you know?
Yeah.
So even though that was sad, as of 2012, he was cancer-free. And he invested in a small company where he is part owner of a company called Simply Tobacco. And Tyler is overall making the most of his free life and is able to give back to the woman who gave up everything for him, his mother, Sharon.
That's a lovely story.
It is, right? He's giving
in terms of like how he turns his life around after being wrongfully convicted and all of this.
Exactly.
But definitely very sad that Joey lost his life and all this, Becky, because like I just like hate when people are so greedy, like need money and just like totally just like, I don't know, ruin someone's life and then take it at the end of it all, take their life from them. That's the saddest shit to me. Like, what the fuck?
Well, exactly. And it, like, those crimes are like, they're dumb because you get someone killed or you kill someone for money, but majority of the time these people get found out and it's like they were killed for nothing.
For nothing.
For nothing. You don't get the money. You don't get to have this rich, happy life that you think you're going to have when they're gone. You're in jail forever, usually.
Yeah, it's just like a tragedy on two accounts.
It's like the murder's totally moot.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yes. So, Bev, thank you for remembering Joey, like I mentioned. And you can see how all this controversy with Tyler being a juvenile, having a coerced confession, and then trying to get out of, like, juvenile prison, how that overshadows the initial tragedy of this case, which is Joey Fulgham's death.
Yeah, I can absolutely see how it overshadows it. But on the plus side, if you are going to focus on a wrongful conviction and a person who is wrongfully convicted, I mean, Tyler seems like the best case and the best example to focus on because it really takes a tragedy of Joey's, like, the end of his life and the wrongful conviction, and it's like Tyler pays it forward in all accounts, right? Like,
for sure.
At the end of the day, even though Kristi took so much from Joey, his friends, his family, from Tyler, from Sharon, like, she took so much from so many people, it's like Tyler did something good at the very least. He did a lot good, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah, we can find a little solace in that.
Yeah.
A little, for sure.
That it just, like, wasn't completely for nothing, that Tyler made the most of it.
Absolutely. Well, Bev, this is the case of Joey Fulgham and Tyler Edmonds. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for sharing. And just your weekly reminder to download our weekly episodes, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform you listen to us on, and give us a follow on our social medias. You can find us at Luminol on the Wall. Can't wait till next week.